106.5 FM and online. It's the After 5 Guest with Wynne Thomas.
And time now for my After 5 guest. I'm also delighted to be joined by author and producer Keith Badman. How are you, Keith? Okay?
Very well, Wynne. Thank you very much for inviting me on your wonderful programme. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much indeed for saying that. Swansea producer Karen Stewart-White has worked with you on a play, One Night with Marilyn, and your book, The Final Years of Marilyn, has helped with that production, hasn't it?
Well, basically what it was, my book, The Final Years, Marilyn Monroe, The Final Years, is being turned into a drama series by 101 Studios in Los Angeles. So I've got a very good connection, and it's also the first drama to be endorsed by Marilyn's estate. It's the very first one, and I'm proud of that. So I've got very good connections with the Marilyn people, the Marilyn's estate. Mm-hmm. And then I was told about the play One Night with Marilyn, which of course written by P.T. Rose and of course our mutual friend, the wonderful Karen Stewart-White. Yeah. And I was told about the play, and I said I'd really love to read it. And so I was sent the script. I thought it was brilliant. I thought P.T. Rose, wonderful script writer. And so I was invited along to the reading, a friend and I. Loved it, absolutely adored it. And so I struck up a friendship with Karen and P.T. and we've remained friends ever since. And it was along them lines that I was speaking to P.T. Rose and we were discussing new ideas. And it just happened I had a Beatles idea, which I had first, would you believe, way back in 1978. Can you believe that? And, yeah, unbelievable. And I was a little kid, I had an idea, I was a young child, and thought I had this great idea for a play. Couldn't get any interest in it at all from no one. And then whiz forward to 2022, I then meet PT and Karen, and I tell PT about this idea, and he loved it in like half a second. So the play that we're talking about is this new Beatles play, which is partly based on my book, The Beatles Off the Record. So that's the play, that's the new Beatles play we're progressing with now.
Yeah, so let's carry on with Marilyn for a moment. We'll go back to the Beatles now in a minute. Going back to Marilyn, there's going to be, a TV drama based on your book. Will that sort of go through her life, or will it just be the end of her life?
It's just going to focus on the last 2 years of her life. My book, Marilyn Monroe, The Final Years, is that. It's just the final 2 years of her life, and I go into forensic detail of what happened, where she went to, the Kennedys, all that stuff, and I prove conclusively exactly how she died. And so I sold the film rights to my book, to Seven Seas back in 2017. Mm-hmm. The BBC were very interested in it, but unfortunately it didn't quite go to plan. And so Seven Seas took the film and the idea to 101 Studios in Los Angeles, and they're the ones that's now progressing and turning it into a drama series. So it all takes a bit longer, but it's all moving along very nicely, and I'm very honoured, yeah.
So you're casting, though, then for somebody who's going to play that main character, then, are you?
Well, do you know, we've got so many ideas of who's who's going to be cast here and there. The important thing is to get the right director. We've got a great female director in mind for it, and she's brilliant. And we've now got a screenwriter who's involved. So it all builds up, and when we've got everything in line, then we can appoint Marilyn, obviously Frank, Dean, JFK, Bobby. It takes a while, but it's going to be worth it. And I've read the script for that already. And again, it's first class.
Yes, I mean, she died in the early 60s, as everybody knows, but this character of hers keeps popping up all again, doesn't it? I mean, there's the JFK business, which refuses to rest itself, the Robert Kennedy business, which again refuses to rest, and the other day, here's about, she had to have an abortion from one of those two. Is that true as well?
It's in my book, I go into all of that, and I think the way that Marilyn was treated, particularly by the press and Hollywood, is scandalous. Absolute scandalous. Marilyn was like one of the original Me Too's, as they say, for all these poor women who were treated badly by men, which I'm just ashamed by. Not all were like that, of course. Many were wonderful, wonderful people. But unfortunately, Marilyn did meet some wrong people. And the press made out that Marilyn had abortions, that Marilyn was doing this. She had affairs with Bobby Kennedy. She never did. She never had an affair with Bobby Kennedy, because I was going through the Kennedy library and I went through all the dates of when they were supposed to have got together. Couldn't have happened. JFK couldn't have happened. Marilyn and JFK spent one night together, and that was it.
Right.
Just one night. And it was an absolute disaster, and she didn't want to go back there again, as they say. Yeah, so no, she couldn't. She didn't have abortions, because I'm not a medical person, so I'm going to pronounce this wrong. There's endometriosis.
Yeah.
Apologies if I've got that wrong, but she was incapable of carrying a child. So abortions, no. There's so many lies, and in my book I go into all of that. How she was murdered by UFOs, how she was murdered by all these different people. It couldn't have happened.
And that's, and of course, as Elton John sung and Bernie Taupin wrote, all they were really concerned about is that Marilyn was found in the nude when she was dead. That's all they were concerned about.
That's right, she was. Yeah. And the reason why she was found unclothed, as they say, was because of the fact that she was at home all day and she was relaxing. And there's nothing suspicious about it. But of course, the press tried, and of course, the whole death of how she was found was all staged. She wasn't found in the bed; she was found on the floor, propped against the door. Right. They were stepping over her body for 5 hours until they said the only reason it stays like that because it was good for the studio. And also it was amazing unfortunately, it was good for Fox, because suddenly there was a big interest in Marilyn's previous films. And the one big flop of hers was Prince and the Showgirl, which they'd done over here in Pinewood, of course, just up the road from me.
Yeah.
And that film actually made a profit on the back of Marilyn's death. It was, it's absolutely shocking. So I go into all of that. I go into all the deaths and what happened. And it took me 5 years to do it. And so when they submitted the idea to Marilyn's estate, they loved my book and they loved the screenplay. And as I said just now, we're the first to be endorsed by Marilyn's lawyers, Marilyn's estate, because my book actually says was like the truth, and they appreciate that. It was what he said was the absolute truth about what happened. And also my other aim as well was to make sure that to try and get a death certificate changed, because she's listed as suicide when in fact it was medical negligence. She died at the hand of medical negligence. That's a fact. She did not commit suicide.
Let me just jump back to the Beatles then, okay? So this is a brand new play, which is you're going to be one of the main contributors. It's called At the End, and of course it features the Beatles again. your 3 books have helped this production, but like all of us, the Beatles fascinate us and continue to fascinate us now, isn't it? Isn't it incredible how they broke up in 1970, but they still fascinate us about what happened?
It's absolutely fascinating. We'll go through our lives, and even in 50 years' time, we'll still be talking about the Beatles, Marilyn.
They'd be like Mozart, wouldn't they? Yes.
They're always going to be around. They're always going to be around. And finding a new angle for the Beatles is very, very hard. And as I said, I had this idea way back when I was a kid, and the play centres around the 2 Beatles meetings, board meetings, at their Savile Row HQ in September '69.
Right. Yeah.
And P.T. Rose, as I said, he's just done the most amazing script. And as he's described it, you can sit at the Beatles table as they're breaking up, because this angle is just, as I said, it's never been covered before. It's never been done before. And you see the resentment between, like, the 4 of them. They were all pretty much fed up with it. John had enough, and they'd been together too long, and George felt stifled because of the fact that he was only allowed 1, 2, 3 songs an album.
Yeah.
And that's why when All Things Must Pass came out in '70, he had an abundance of songs that he had in his back catalogue because of the fact that he couldn't get them on a Beatles record. And what this play does, it shows clearly what it was to be like to witness the Beatles falling apart, basically. And so when we look at the new angle for the Beatles, this genuinely is. And P.T. Rose, the writer, as I said, he saw it straight away, and he's taken the words in my book, and there it is. And also, I think you've got a bit of a radio exclusive here. P.T. Rose and, of course, our mutual friend Karen have now got the cast.
Oh, right. I know they were chasing final members, yes, so they've now got the cast, have they? Yeah.
It's done, yeah. We've now got Yoko, Paul, Lindy, Maureen, Patty, George. You've got them all cast, and we're all very much looking forward to our first Zoom reading in 2 weeks, I believe. So
right.
it's looking good stuff. I must admit. Yeah.
And of course, this Beatles thing keeps on going because Osmaka is now 80 years of age. So that's absolutely fantastic going on. Let me just, before you go, ask you something as well. Which I know you've been working with Queen and Adam Lambert. Tell us more about that.
Well, again, it was something else that I'm very proud of as well. I'm also known as, I do archive produce, and I work as an archive producer on films, TVs, and my first ever noted television job was back in, would you believe, in 1991, when I worked as an archive researcher on the Beatles anthology.
Right,
but I didn't get a credit because we didn't want to upset one of the boys. Let's just leave it that way. So I didn't get a credit. And so therefore I've been doing that. And then, would you believe, 18 years ago, I was asked by Queen, the Queen's video producer, if I'd like to do some research and work for them. And I've been doing stuff for them now for 18 years. So again, if you look on most of the recent projects, Queen, Adam Lambert, Show Must Go On, Days of Our Lives, all the DVD releases, Blu-ray releases, I've been doing all the archive on that. And again, wonderful people to deal with, absolutely wonderful. We had a series on YouTube recently called Queen the Greatest, and it was a 50-part series. It's on YouTube, you can still watch it now. And fabulous response. The interest in Queen is huge. And I was at the O2 the other night watching Queen Adam Lambert on the final night, 21st.
Yeah.
And they were just amazing. You can't replace Freddie, we know that. But Adam is such a performer, the most amazing voice He's got presence. They're wonderful, absolutely wonderful. So, yeah. So that's it. You know, I do freelance work for Queen as well.
Wonderful stuff, Keith. Well, thank you very much for spending your time this afternoon. It's absolutely brilliant to talk to you. I must get you back sometime in the future to talk some more about these fantastic people you've worked with in the past.